Hi, my name's Tom, welcome to Quickly's Weekly, and in this lesson we're going to be looking at some Tom Morello style Killswitch licks. Here they are, sort of up to speed. So if you're not aware of his playing, Tom Morello is the guitar player in Audioslave and more prominently for me, Rage Against the Machine, and he also plays solo under the pseudonym of The Watchman, or The Night Watchman I think, though he plays an acoustic guitar for that. He's got a very distinct sound when he's on the electric guitar, certainly with those early Rage records. Whenever it came time for him to do a guitar solo, it wouldn't be the typical waily, shreddy stuff. The most insane stuff would come out of the speakers. And I think the first time I would have heard him would have been on the on Wake Up, which was the credits music to The Matrix, which I would have seen when I was much younger. And there's a guitar solo in it that's this really ridiculous, well, really awesome, but really crazy sounding kill switch technique. It didn't even sound like a guitar, so I only realised it was a guitar when someone explained it to me or I saw a video afterwards. Basically what Tom does on his guitars, on all his guitars he has a switch fitted called a kill switch, which basically kills the sound, and it's he usually mounts it down here, and it's an on-off switch. So when it's down, I believe this is the way he wires it, though it's fairly irrelevant. Down is on and up is off. So basically it just cuts the sound out when it's off. And he gets some really amazing sounds from this, and like he can emulate a DJ scratching, which we'll talk about in a minute. But my favourite thing he does is on Know Your Enemy. That song starts off with this riff, and that's the kind of ballpark thing I was doing on the intro to this. So what he's done is he's got his distorted guitar sound, he's added an octave or a fifth effect to it, I think. So if you've got a harmonizer, that'll make this technique work better, though it's not essential. So if you listen, I've got the open A, but I've got an effect in it which adds an octave lower, though it is a bit weird. Get some pretty horrific noises out of that. And this guitar is set up to be able to do this, and this is actually the reason I bought this guitar, because I used to play like when I first started with a few of my mates, and I was really into Tom Morello's playing. I was really into the shreddy stuff, but I was really into what he was doing on the guitar, because it just seemed really expressive to me. I'd never seen anyone do anything like that. When it came to guitar solos, like my initial reaction would be to do the Jimmy Page thing and try and do some wicked blues rock guitar solo or whatever, but when it came time for his solo, like he would get a slide and just scratch it on the strings and make some awful noises, but not really awful because they were still cool to listen to. And that really opened my ears and eyes and mind about, the the electric guitars are a fairly modern instrument, and really you can do whatever you want with it. So that was really exciting. But the first guitar I ever had was a Tanglewood Les Paul, and Les Paul style has 2 volume, 2 tones, and a switcher. And I copied his style in my own playing by turning now this is where we get to the important part of the lesson after I've been waffling on. So if you've got a guitar that's got this set up like a Les Paul style or a Tele Custom like this, you'll be able to do this. And this is the reason I bought this guitar, is because I like having the pickup selector here, but also initially, I haven't done this very much recently, but I liked the option to do this kill switch technique. So basically all you need to do is, if you've got this style of setup where you've got separate volume, basically all you need is separate volumes for each pickup. You turn one of the pickups off, so I've got this one off, and keep the other one on full. So when the pickup's in the middle, or rather when the pickup's all the way up to the top, I get no sound out. When the pickup's in the middle, it should be dead, though you probably can't hear from the camera ever so slightly, something's cutting through, because obviously the connection here is not perfect. But as soon as I hit it on full, so we get the sound coming through. And what Tom would do is he'd basically use this like a manual tremolo system. So he'd move the switch down in sync with the beat or whatever. So like I was doing in the intro. all I'm doing is I'm tapping on the strings. I've got a lot of distortion on. I'm moving my hand around like that. So you can mess around with this with your playing. You don't even have to have a harmonizer. If you've got a setup where you can turn one of the volumes down, you can mess around with this just by doing this kind of technique, and you can do it with chords as well. So I've got that horrible harmonizer on, so it's messing things up. But it's a really creative way of cutting the sound out of your guitar. Also, if you're playing live, like I do, and you've got a lot of distortion on, and you've got a really heavy section, and you're worried about the sound, overloading, you can set up your guitar like this. So after you've done the heavy section, you just need to flick the switch and then the sound's off, which is a really useful technique anyway. So I'm just going to switch a few things around and show you what he does on his scratching technique as a little aside to this lesson. So this technique, the sort of DJ scratching technique, is the thing he's probably most famous for in this sense, and it's one of the things that attracted me to him early on in that sort of what on earth is he doing. And it's on a song called Bulls on Parade. And when they do it live, the solo is basically a scratching solo. And when I first heard this, I thought it was a DJ, but it's not. It's him doing it on guitar. And to emulate that sound of the scratching, he's turned his guitar up incredibly loud and stuck a load of distortion on it. He also hits his wah pedal down, so it's on its most treble state, so you get a lot of noise and it's really trebly and full on. My guitar's set up to pretty much get that sound now, and I'm just going to show you how it sounds. It's very loud, so I won't have it on like that for too long. But as you can hear, it's loud enough to be getting feedback, and there's a lot of distortion on there. So it's a bit unruly, and I wouldn't use this kind of sound for normal, but noise is exactly what we want in this setup. Noise is what we always want as rock guitar players, but in this setup, noise is perfect. So I've got that thing I was talking about before, about one pickup is on full, which is this one pickup is off. So this is acting as a kill switch, like that. And all Tom is doing in this situation is moving his hand across the strings like this and creating a really awful scraping noise. Now, I used to think he dug his nails in, but I don't even think he does that. You just need to get a lot of scratching and awful noise. Now I'm just going to do that for a second so you can hear how it sounds. I don't want to offend the neighbours too much, but this is what it sounds with just the volume up full and me running through this scratching. So this is what it sounds like. Now that's awful, obviously, and that's not the kind of sound we're after. And the thing that Tom's able to do with the kill switch is emulate that DJ sound. Because when a DJ scratches, I only found this out about a few years ago, but when a DJ scratches, they're moving the record, obviously, which is speeding it up incredibly, which is creating that scratchy sound. But it's not just them scratching, they're cutting the sound out as well. Obviously, if you're a DJ watching this, I'm giving a very, very, very basic explanation of what's going on. It's a lot more difficult than this. And they're creating a more percussive sound. So if we just move our hand around like this, which is obviously what's going to be creating the noise, and cutting this out at whim, we can get that emulate that sort of sound on the guitar. And obviously, if you've got a beat, you would lock into that beat and riff off that. Maybe add some triplets in and some straight eighths and things like that. So I'm just going to mess around with this sound so you can hopefully understand what I'm talking about. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. I'm basically just moving my hand around, and this hand activating the kill switch is doing all the work to create that effect. Again, we're sort of limited instrument-wise. You don't need any massive setup. You don't need a proper kill switch. You just need the option to turn the volumes down on each pickup individually. So if you've got a Telecaster Custom like this, or a Les Paul style guitar is the main one, and then SG guitars as well. Though some guitars do have kill switches fitted, and they are useful tools in general. But again, like some of my lessons, I don't really like to concentrate on the super strict stuff all the time. There are other things on the guitar that you can do that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, and Tom Morello for me was certainly the jumping off point for that. So hopefully, even if you necessarily can't use this in your playing, it might have introduced some new or cool ideas to you, who knows. Thanks ever so much for watching. Like always, my website tomsmusiclessons.co.uk for information about lessons with me. You can contact me through there and through here. Thanks ever so much for watching these lessons. If there's anything else you'd like me to go over in more detail, then just send me a private message and we can sort that out. Hopefully I'll see you soon.